Welcome to my latest experiment. This is the big one, the one I've been waiting for all my life.
What is it?
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Oh my God.
The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
And there is no one that does it better.
The Guy and Harley Podcast, streaming all over your face.
Perhaps that was the most important part.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Pigville on the internet. When I go out, I'm going to go out shooting. I don't mean when I die. I mean when I go to the club, stupid. I'm trying to clean up my fucking image. So I promised the fucking critics I wouldn't say fucking for 6 minutes. Chicken! 6 minutes, Harley Neville. You're on. My name's Harley Neville. Welcome along to the Guy and Harley Podcast.
And that is a classic line from the Marshall Mathers LP. Is that they call what is that? What's the name of that song?
Remember Me.
Remember Me. Remember Me. I drop bombs like Hiroshima.
Yeah. See, that is the soundtrack to our youth.
Yep.
A little bit. That's the soundtrack to us moving out of home, getting our first flat,
getting our first hand job in the back of a car.
Giving/receiving our first hand job in the back of a car.
Not together. Separately,
of course.
From my girlfriend at the time, but
me too, from Guy's girlfriend at the time.
So I had because I had that someone had given me the Marshall Mathers LP as a tape, and my old car didn't have
tape. Get a load of this guy. Get a load of this old man.
Didn't have a CD player.
Yeah.
Obviously, MP3s. Well, they did exist. They were just beginning to exist.
Yeah.
But
only the Asian kids had them.
Yeah.
I remember only the Asian kids at school had MP3s.
Someone mentioned that we're quite offensive on this podcast.
Oh, like what? Like we're racist?
No, just offensive.
Homophobic.
Not specific. Like just offensive to all.
Just generally offensive.
Generally offensive.
Yeah, got it. Well, that's the good kind of offensive.
Yeah.
Because I would never want to be seen to be specifically sort of being offensive towards one, group of people.
Are equal opportunity offenders.
Yeah.
But I was talking to our friend Imi, who sometimes listens to the podcast.
Imi, big shout out if you're listening.
She was doing a little interview piece for a magazine about social media, and anyway, she was just saying how it was. I was like, well, what was particularly offensive about the last one? And she was like, oh, just how you were really ripping into that guy who clearly had a masturbating problem. And I was like, hey, that is too much masturbating. 12 times is too much. But, and my point here is that, like, look, if you said, you were drinking 12 beers a day, I'd say the same thing. I'd say, bro, you got a problem. You're drinking too many beers. That's bad for that's bad for your liver. You've got a serious problem. You need to cut it out.
Okay, that's fine.
And I said the same thing about masturbating in this guy.
You did, but if he was drinking 12 beers a day,
yeah.
Would you be laughing about his misfortune on a podcast? Would you? Would you be like, ha, you're an alcoholic. Ha, 6 beers in the morning, 6 in the evening, you pervert.
Yeah, look, okay, maybe the phrasing, the context is a little bit different, but my point is, I was just saying he needs to cut it out.
Yeah. Well, if people would like to get all caught up on that, make sure you go back and listen to the previous episode 85.
Mad masturbating Trump supporter, or whatever we called it.
Go check that out. Get all caught up. Yes. Well, thanks for listening, Emmy. We are currently enjoying a delicious Jack Daniel's Tennessee Fire, which is a cinnamon whiskey. Now, long-time listeners will know that we are big fans of Fireball around here, and that we drink Fireball whiskey, but that we also drink Jack Daniel's Tennessee Fire. We have got a free bottle of Jack Daniel's Tennessee Fire right here in front of us from one of the Hardy Hundy.
Appreciate that. And I will just quickly interject to say that I could not help but notice you brought this whiskey round. You said it was from one of the fans, and it was not full.
Well, look, I drink 12. I drink 12 beers a day, bro. Like, you can't expect me not to drink half of this bottle of whiskey.
You dipped.
No.
Dipped into it.
No. You haven't. We haven't finished the story yet. You see, so basically, Scott Turnbull is one of the listeners. So big shout out to Scott. He has also bought I Survived a Zombie Holocaust on DVD. So wee moment of silence. You the man, bro. And he cast me on Friday night in his music video that he shot in Hamilton. So I, as I mentioned last week, was on my way to Tongariro to do the Tongariro crossing with my lovely girlfriend for her birthday. And on the way, we swung by Hamilton so that I could be in this music video for Scott. And it was a quick, painless shoot. It seemed to go well. I saw I saw one of the shots and it looked good. So far, all is well with that music video. So thanks for the opportunity to cast me as well, Scott. And anyway, as sort of payment for that, he knew as a listener of the podcast that we drink this Jack Daniels, and he paid me the Tennessee Fire. Now, you didn't work on the music video.
Okay, so I get less of it.
You get less of it. But on top of that, we actually drank it that night after the music video. We drank some of it.
I see.
So that's why some of it's missing.
Okay.
The rest I just hooked up to my veins and injected intravenously.
Another funny aside from your little trip is that you did a post on Facebook where you're like, Angie Mosquera, or we've said her full name now, so...
Well, now everyone can find her.
Now everyone can stalk her on Facebook.
To be fair, they could find her just by looking at my Facebook.
Yeah, true. So anyway, my love, my life, my light... and it's got like a collage of like, you kissing her and being all lovey-dovey.
No, that's her post.
Oh, well, there was definitely a photo of you kissing her, right?
Yeah.
Now, this, somehow, you inadvertently posted this on the Zombie Holocaust Twitter. So there's just a random post from @ a Zombie Holocaust, the movie or whatever it is, that says... that's basically your personal Harley Neville post about your girlfriend. And I tweeted back on that and I was like, wow, this movie has suddenly got very personal.
Okay, well, I don't really know what happened there, but I must have somehow... I don't even know how that would have happened because I haven't even shared that. I just got tagged in it.
Yeah, well, she did one, but you also did one.
I posted one on Instagram.
Though I guess that's how it happened.
And it somehow went to the Zombie Holocaust one? That's
Twitter, yep.
The Zombie Holocaust Twitter. That's interesting and weird. I better check that out. I wonder if I've somehow
connected them.
Due to my being a techno retard, I've somehow connected up my personal Instagram to the Zombie Holocaust page, and every Instagram post I've ever done has actually tweeted out on the Zombie Holocaust page as well. Could happen. Could have been hooked up. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, by the way, Harley_Neville, I think. Go find me.
Any update on that masturbating Trump supporter?
No. Well, see, the thing is, when I posted last week's episode, I hid it from him.
Yeah, sure.
On Facebook, because I don't want to hurt the guy's feelings. You know, it's like, he's got an excessive masturbation problem. All right? The guy jerks off too much. Okay? But, and he votes for Trump. Okay, sure.
Two strikes, you're out for me, buddy.
And he's a closeted homosexual who voted for an openly anti-homosexual candidate. Yeah. Okay, well, look, whatever, man. Okay, he might have some issues. He might be confused a little, but he does seem like a nice guy, and he's done nothing wrong to me. So I don't want to be seen to be bagging the poor guy on a public forum like a podcast.
I wasn't bagging him. I was just saying, like, he really masturbated way too much.
Well, he realized that, and that's why he got circumcised.
No, he didn't. He didn't realize it. That's my issue.
Well, he realized it when he had to get circumcised because he had been masturbating too much.
But I don't know if he really realized it in the sense like, whoa, I'm masturbating too much, or whether it was like, this is an unfortunate side effect of me having masturbated too much.
This is an unfortunate side effect of me having masturbated the perfect amount.
Yeah, exactly, and I will continue to do so, but now uninhibited by this foreskin that was being such a problem.
Yeah, the other day he sent me a picture because he said, hey man, I'm buying presents for my family and all that stuff. So I can't buy you a movie this month, but I'd like to buy a personalised DVD copy of I Survived a Zombie Holocaust. Is it okay if I do it in January? And I was like, yeah, man, of course, no worries. But I did say, well, that being said, though, it is the perfect Christmas present, right? You buy a personalized signed DVD of I Survived a Zombie Holocaust for your dearest loved one. So keep that in mind, listeners. Yeah. And so I said that to him, and he said, well, it does sound like the perfect stocking stuffer. And then he posted a picture from a screen grab from I Survived a Zombie Holocaust of me naked from the front wearing my cock sock, because there's a brief moment where you can see that I'm actually wearing a cock sock in the movie. So he took the time to catch that frame and send it to me. But he's not gay, as far as I'm aware.
That was good of him to take that little moment.
But he made a stocking stuffing joke because he said something about how I like stuffing stockings.
This is pretty clever.
I thought it was reasonably funny. I said ha 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 ha.
That was good.
So yeah. Also, speaking of, just while we're talking about being getting roles and sort of low budget local productions, Barb's Peterson, also I believe a listener. I'm not 100% sure, but she cast me. Last week after the podcast, I did some voice recording here in the Guy and Harley Podcast studio, for a short film they're doing, right, to sort of do the voice of an American actor. So that was good. So thank you, Barbs, for casting me. And if anybody else out there wants to cast me, please do. Just get in touch. That is actually how I got cast, was through Scott. Going back to that music video, Scott Turnbull listened on the podcast and found out that I wanted roles and cast me. That's how I got the music video role.
Just think about this crazy cunt will drive to Hamilton to be in something.
Exactly. I will.
And he's got no car.
And I don't even have a car. And do you know, another thing, this is interesting for me. Scott found us through a newspaper article which was about I Survived a Zombie Holocaust being on YouTube and getting 300,000 views illegally. Yep. Scott saw the newspaper article, decided to look us up, added me on Facebook, checked out the podcast, and then ended up casting me. So
the system works.
What that means is my harebrained publicity schemes do pay off.
For you.
Well, how's that fucking Tennessee Fire going down, bro? How's that Tennessee Fire tasting? Is it good? Well, good, because there's no more for you, mate. Fucker. I've brought round a DVD for a guy to sign, a personalised signed DVD, because we've sold one to Brad. So Brad, if you're listening, mate, thanks very much for that. It'll be on its way, winging its way to you in the United States very soon. So if any of you would like to buy I Survived a Zombie Holocaust signed, personalised DVD copy direct from the filmmakers, you can do so, and that does really help us. It's 25 New Zealand dollars plus P&P, and that's fuck all. And so jump on Facebook, go facebook.com/Guy and Harley, and I will share the link there again. Also, just go facebook.com/ISAZH, which is the Zombie Holocaust page, and it's got a buy now button there.
Now, I've got some big news.
Big news. Standing by.
I watched the new Star Wars last night.
How did you angle that? Did you get it illegally somehow?
No, of course not.
I didn't think you'd pirate that.
I never disrespect.
But isn't it like several weeks away from actually coming out?
No, so it comes out today over here, and I went to the midnight screening. Of course.
And how was that?
So this is
now no spoilers.
This is a very spoiler-free.
No spoilers.
This is a very spoiler-free review. It was pretty good.
Now, what was the other one called? The one that just came out not very long ago that was really shit?
The one that you hated and I thought was good. The Force Awakens.
The Foreskin Awakens.
So there was that, and this is the follow-up. And this is the not like...
Is it the same lead actress?
No.
No, I didn't think so.
So this is a side story. This takes place directly before A New Hope. Star Wars A New Hope, the very first Star Wars movie. And it's
about them stealing the
Death Star plans.
The plans for the Death Star, which no spoiler, they get the plans.
Spoiler, no spoiler. They somehow wind up with the plans. Yeah. Otherwise, there would be no Star Wars. And, you know, it is interesting because on the one hand, they're like, this isn't like an official Star Wars, like, you know, in terms of like, yes, it's an official Star Wars story, but it's not officially part of the episodes, you know, 4 to whatever the hell we're at now, 7 or whatever, timeline. Like they're saying that's the true Star Wars. This is a side Star Wars story. But actually, really, it's not, because really it is a direct prequel to the very first Star Wars. Like a very direct prequel. Could not be any more direct. So on the one hand, they're like, oh, it's not really, 1, 2, 3, and 4, but actually it's like really episode 3.5, and a direct thing in that timeline. It's not a random sort of super side story of like young Han Solo just chilling in the Millennium Falcon, which has really got nothing to do with what's going on in actual Star Wars. This has everything to do with what's going on in Star Wars. So anyway, I had a couple of thoughts. It was good. It was somewhat lacking in the magic, in the sort of the farm boy or the farm girl, wishing and yearning for an adventure and the journey and kind of getting on board with all that. I thought it was just missing those kind of classic characters that you really got behind. There was a whole heap of characters and you were kind of just a little bit meh on a lot of them. So there was some great stuff in it. And apparently George Lucas really liked this. Apparently old Georgie boy loved this one.
Right.
He didn't like Force Awakens.
Right.
But he loved this one.
Well, probably then I'll like it. Because George and I almost certainly
on the
have
same
similar
page.
taste. Yeah.
Phantom Menace.
Whoa. I mean, like, Phantom Menace wasn't that bad. It was not. Force Awakens was easily the worst Star Wars, and it's really left me. And then when I saw the trailers for this new one, Rogue One, I was really left quite uninspired. I was like, oh, okay, this kind of looks like a continuation of the watered down schlock that Star Wars has become. So it really didn't make me go, oh, I'm definitely going to see that in the cinema. I was kind of like, oh yeah. I mean, I'll probably see it out of obligation, but I'm not like super excited.
Well, from my perspective, it was good. It wasn't the same magical experience, and even Force Awakens took me further on a journey than this one did.
Whoa. So are you saying that you think this is worse than Force Awakens?
Yeah, but I liked Force Awakens.
Yeah.
So like I didn't have any issue. Like my big issue was
you're saying it's the worst Star Wars yet? What's the worst one? Episode 2? No,
I think Phantom Menace is the worst one.
Is that Episode 1?
Episode 1 is the worst one. Then Episode 2.
They just chronologically get worse.
No, and then I guess I'd put this somewhere in the middle, I guess.
Yeah.
But it did, I guess, feel like, and you've read a couple of these Star Wars books, like basically I
have indeed read Star Wars books.
They did a bunch of Star Wars books that kind of followed on or took place sort of in the middle of the actual Star Wars.
Yeah.
And they were all pretty enjoyable. They're all definitely worth a read, and in fact, they've definitely stolen some stuff in both Force Awakens and this from those books.
I read a good one about what happened to... Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you.
Who?
Temuera Morrison, after he fell into the Sarlacc pit.
Oh, right. So, no, you're not talking about Temuera Morrison. You're talking about Boba Fett. Temuera Morrison, as we all know.
Oh, yeah, but he's a clone.
Jango Fett.
Okay, but he's a clone of Temuera Morrison. Hello. So, it's basically Temuera Morrison. Keep up, guy.
I read that one as well, and I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting.
So there was a lot of cool stuff. If anything, I think some of my issues with it is that they tried to do a few too many Star Wars callbacks. Where they did a Star Warsy thing, and they're like, from the old Star Wars movies. You guys know them, right? Yeah. You're fans, right? See, we're referencing those. You get me?
It shows that we are...
we're fans too.
It shows that we respect the originals.
And it was a little bit...
on the nose.
A little bit on the nose and a little bit too much, because you got to do that. But there was just some bits you're like, no, okay, come on. Well, come on.
Are you sure it's not just because you're a film nerd, though? The average 15-year-old watching it would be like, whoa!
Well, there's a couple of things that I want to talk about. Now, this is
cool.
This is a very, very moderate spoiler. But
Well, we don't want to hear. I don't want to hear even the moderate spoiler.
This is a very moderate spoiler.
And neither do the listeners.
And this is a very big issue that I took, is that Darth Vader does make a dad joke in it.
Oh, really?
And it was like, it's a pun, but it's very dad joke-ish. And like, for me, I was like, yeah, you really lost me on that one. Like, because there's bits where Darth Vader just don't make dad jokes, and he don't make puns. Darth Vader don't play that. Don't play that. And so when he cranked the dad joke on it, I was like, ooh.
Well, Darth Vader just doesn't make jokes. He's not a jokester.
He's not really a jokester, no. And if this was 100% like, kind of like a half joke, but a total joke, if you were really...
That to me sounds like when in Terminator 3...
Oh, yeah, Terminator 3.
They
Talk to the hand.
And they had Arnold Schwarzenegger dressed up in like gay chaps, like
and
bondage,
and those fruity
bondage chaps.
Didn't he put on like some fruity grandma sunglasses originally?
Yeah, and then he goes doot doot doot, inappropriate, or something like that. And I was like, okay, guys, you're just shitting all over the whole universe now. You're shitting all over the whole Terminator universe, and when you take such a serious, like, integral core character and make them make kind of dumb jokes, you really just cheapen the whole franchise. So I'm concerned already.
So I wasn't a big fan of that. And I guess the other thing to note is, obviously, you're talking about making a movie that is set approximately almost 35 years to the day for this old Star Wars New Hope to come out, right? So you're going back that far. Now, obviously, the guy that played Darth Vader in the original series...
James Earl Jones?
No, he played the voice of Darth Vader.
Well, he played Darth Vader then, didn't he?
He imbued the character with its most memorable thing, yes. But the other part was the physical presence of Darth Vader, which was this guy David Prowse, who was this kind of giant bodybuilder, wannabe actor. You can also see him in A Clockwork Orange, carrying...
That's a random sort of two films to be in. Like, one of them's English, right?
Well, because they shot Star Wars in London.
Yeah.
And anyway, so he had the choice of playing Chewbacca or this guy. And they're like, oh, he's the main bad guy. And he's like, oh, I'll just be the main bad guy, because they're both wearing a mask. So it'll be... and then he never thought they were going to overdub his voice.
Yeah.
So he thought he was going to be like, all right, lads, where are the rebel plans?
Yeah.
And everyone, like, probably internally was like, what the fuck is going on? And he was just like, whatever. And then he sat down to see it, and this black guy doing this amazing voice, which was a million times better than his voice. But
have you heard his voice?
Yeah. Like, they play it like a bit of it. Like, so in the sort of behind the scenes of Star Wars, they play, like, his voice, in the actual scenes. And I was like, man, they must have really been struggling to act opposite that. Yeah. Because it's not, he will come to me. Yeah. It's nothing like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, they couldn't have him because that actor is now like 80. He's not in Darth Vader shape anymore. And I was like, well, would they get Hayden Christensen in to be Darth Vader's body? No, they didn't do that. I looked on the credits and it was just two randoms, So two people played Darth Vader. And I did definitely think there was something wrong with Darth Vader's body.
Right.
Like, it was just like, kind of like, he just wasn't quite filling it out Darth Vader. He wasn't Darth Vadering about. His movements and stuff weren't quite... It was like someone trying to impersonate Darth Vader's mannerisms a little bit.
Which is exactly what it was.
And even maybe more than that is like basically these two non-actors being Darth Vader because they're like these big bodybuilder types. And like the director going, okay, now point your finger. You know how Darth Vader points his finger? You point your finger. And he points his finger, but it's not the same. It's not natural. It's not, it's not the Darth Vader finger point intimidating, which David Prowse was just doing naturally at the time. It's someone telling someone to recreate that moment so you're reminded that this is Darth Vader.
You're a bad actor when you can't imitate a bad actor with no lines.
Well, there was nothing wrong with Darth Vader's body acting, to be fair. So anyway, there is that. And the other thing that I would like to just say, and again, very moderate spoilers, I'm not really going to go into too much detail, but essentially they bring back a character in this Star Wars who the actor has been dead almost since the original Star Wars.
Right.
So they bring him back, and
Grand Moff Tarkin.
Yeah.
It's Grand Moff Tarkin, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Grand Moff Tarkin. So the guy that played...
Way to go, Guy.
Well, you fucking did it.
No, Guy, you gave a spoiler and I used my brain to figure out who it was. That's the definition of a spoiler. You just spoiled it.
Well, anyway, that's not really a spoiler because he's a main
Classic Guy.
He's a main part. He may have even been in the trailers, I'm not sure. But I don't consider that a spoiler. These two minor spoilers, I do not consider. But anyway, they brought this guy back, and this is a seminal moment. This is history. Because this is the first time they have brought back an actor who's fucking dead. Long dead. He's fucking in the dirt, man. He is dead.
Well, what do you mean?
time.
Did they use like CGI to put his face on somebody with footage from the original Star Wars or something?
No footage from the original Star Wars. So they essentially
mapped his face.
His face.
They dug up his grave and they grabbed his skull.
bones.
They grabbed his skull.
His poor
They
bones.
did a 3D reconstruction of his face based on his skull bones.
That he dug up from his grave, exhumed.
Then they made this movie,
Yeah.
and then they chucked his skull just out the back of the set somewhere.
Yeah, like, playing it on a pole so to get the right light meter reading,
Yeah.
So but anytime they wanted to, Grand Moff's in the scene, get his skeleton out here, see how the light's hitting his skeleton. That's basically what they did. And it was kind of alarming because a couple things. So they would have
answer this. Was he in a scene with other real-life actors?
Yes.
Did he look weird, or did he look like he was really there and really alive?
Well, this is my point, okay? So I immediately noticed something was awry. Mainly, a guy I knew, Peter Cushing, to be dead for 40 years, being alive. So I immediately knew there was a problem.
And looking young.
Well, and looking like he did 40 years ago, I guess. So immediately I was like, okay, is this just a little, oh, no, he's in it heaps. Whoa, you're really seeing him. Okay, that's kind of shocking because, essentially they would have had to get the permission of Peter Cushing's estate. So his relatives, probably his sons and daughters.
When you say permission, you mean give them a lot of money.
Yes.
They would have been rolling in it.
I'm sure. But they essentially had to get permission. But, this is... Yeah, you got permission from his son who wants a fucking 20K in his pocket today, right? Would Peter Cushing agree to this? Would he go...
Well, where did the voice come from?
So the voice is just a guy impersonating Peter Cushing's voice.
Right.
Yeah,
well, then
very well.
Well, then he probably wouldn't be cool with it, because...
Well, that's the thing.
You would assume that anybody impersonating you would do a shit job. And that,
right.
They wouldn't do it how you would do it. And so it's kind of like... I don't know, a bit of a disrespect of your legacy because there's this imitation you out there doing a performance that you didn't actually do and wouldn't necessarily do that way. And yet when people look you up, they might find that.
Well, I had a big idea essentially about a sort of a movie idea about someone discovering that people are killing old actors to steal their likenesses to have them be in movies.
Well, hang on. Didn't you already tell me about this, or have I read this somewhere?
I think I told you about it.
Okay, good. Good, that means it's still original. Until all the listeners steal it.
Yeah.
The Hardy Hundy. Don't trust them. Don't trust them.
That's essentially, I wrote about, this is in the future. They fucking did it!
Yeah.
They fucking did it!
Yeah.
And it was really quite shocking to me, and I couldn't really get past that mentally in my head.
But this is all news, right? Because didn't they do this with Paul Walker?
But yeah, they did. But it was just him. That was just
they got out his mangled corpse and imitated a.
That was to
3D thing,
essentially to sort of tie in the because he'd shot a chunk of the film.
Yeah,
and then he'd died in this fiery wreck.
Yeah,
and so they're well,
in this ironic fiery wreck.
He was driving too fast and too furiously.
Yeah.
And he wasn't actually driving, to be fair.
He wasn't.
So, rest in peace to Paul.
Well,
you did that horrible meme
Post?
photo of
I
him.
did,
Yeah,
horrible.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so you want to talk about bad taste in me? This guy, when Paul Walker died,
What did they
like the
post?
following day, like the next day, Harley Neville posts Fast and Furious 8 or something, and then it's got a Paul Walker, and then it's got like a hearse. A picture of a hearse, and it's that's so.
I'm a genius.
So yeah, he did. Harley did that.
I'm a genius.
Not me. I just got concerns about people's masturbating, but he's actually desecrating the fresh memory of. Anyway,
Look, no. But I know you're doing a Star Wars thing, but just on this Paul Walker. I'm gonna let you finish.
Okay.
But like, Paul Walker is responsible for countless deaths around the world. Okay, like here is a guy who glorified boy racer culture, and like there's literally a scene where he's speeding down the highway and he's not looking at the road and he's looking at the girl beside him, and they're doing a thing where it's like, man, yeah, I'm so hip and so cool. Look how dangerous I drive. Yeah. Look how irresponsible I am. Look at me. It's totally fitting that he would die in a fiery crash. It's like the perfect end. The universe every now and then I think does actually. Sort of, have some reason to it. Be
careful what you wish for.
No, so like, I mean, no issue with the guy personally, but come on, like, it's kind of fitting that he died in that crash when you consider the glorification of the silly culture of boy racing.
Do you have to make a joke out of it the very next day?
Well, okay, but you got to understand that the internet is fickle, mate. Like,
it's
you've got
a 48-hour news cycle.
You got to strike while the news is hot. While the iron is hot.
Yeah, so
there's no point in posting it now, respectfully 2 years later.
Respectfully? I've waited 2 years respectfully because now the memory of Paul Walker is everything's all good. But anyway, so yes, they they did do that a little bit in that last Fast and Furious movie, but not to the same extent, and like essentially they were just tacking on an end bit to what they'd already shot. This is like, hey, we're going to bring back a dead guy and he's going to do a whole bunch of acting. But he's dead. What do? We make him in the computer. It's fucking crazy.
Did he look legit though? Like honestly, every scene he was in, were you just like looking at his face going, yeah, something ain't right here? Doesn't look like a real person.
Me personally, yes.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw him,
it would bother me.
I was like, ooh, still haven't quite got faces. CG has not really quite got faces. There's just something weird that doesn't quite work about it. And, sometimes I feel that it does work fine, like in Tron Legacy, young Jeff Bridges. But it's a little bit different because they had old Jeff Bridges.
They did a good job in that Mr. Buttons, or that Buttons.
The Curious Case of Benjamin Buttons.
That's the one.
Mr. Buttons.
Mr. Buttons. They did a good job in that, I thought.
Mr. Buttons.
Although I haven't seen it for a while.
Yeah, no, you're right.
At the time, I was like, fuck, how'd they do that? Like, that's fucking impressive.
And
they made Brad Pitt look young as fuck.
I think that's the issue, is that if you have the person...
something to work off.
And then you basically map them and then de-ageify them, that's a much better thing to do than literally have to make their entire face in a computer.
Yeah, based off a skull which you dug up from the grave.
So... it was quite shocking to me, but it is like, this is like, we're going to see way more of this. This is going to happen all the time, where they sort of bring in old actors. I reckon this is like a cornerstone in history, and Guy Pigville fucking called it.
Well, you didn't call it publicly, so you fucked. You told me about it.
No, but I'm calling it now.
Oh, right.
I'm calling it now.
So what's your prediction? What's going to happen in the future then with this technology?
Well, basically, they're just going to start bringing out all the old actors to do...
like Marilyn Monroe and Elvis will be doing a scene together.
Yeah, basically. Or, like, especially in, like, a film. So you'll have your sort of main principals, and then it'll be set in the 50s, when Marilyn Monroe and Elvis might have been at a party hanging out together. And they just walk up and see Marilyn Monroe and Elvis just standing there and have a conversation with them. And they can do that. And, they used to just cast, someone who didn't really look at all anything like them. Now they'll dig them up out of the grave, take the skull metrics and fucking slap their faces on it, and boom. But having said all that...
so every actor... here's a prediction from Harley Neville.
No,
about
but that's what I'm saying.
future.
Okay, you said it would be disrespectful, right?
Well, yeah, a little bit.
when you die, do you want people doing that of you?
Well, that's what I'm going to say, is that here's my prediction for the future, is that all actors that want to do it posthumously
Sign a contract.
will sign, not just sign a contract, but they'll get their face mapped before they die. You know, they'll go, okay, here's a map of my face, you know, and then in the future, for thousands of years, they can appear in movies long after they're gone. It's the new immortality, you know, like it used to be. Film was immortality anyway, but now it's really a new type of immortality.
Now it's immortality because they keep doing it after you're fucking dead.
They can literally keep on resurrecting you. The only problem would be the voice, but, you know, I mean, you could...
got a lot of voice actors about.
Well, you wouldn't even... If you really, really, really wanted to be a truly immortal film actor, what you could do is you could get your face mapped, but you could also go through the alphabet and do all the different vowels and all that stuff, you know, and then they can use that to build your voice, and then they can really just recreate you and make you say whatever they want. Which then would be very helpful for virtual reality porn, where they could then sell on the legacy of Angelina Jolie, and you could force her to say whatever you want. You just type it in, right? If you manage to hack the account, you know, you'd have her face, right? You could recreate her doing whatever you wanted and saying whatever you wanted.
So would you do that? Are you going to do that?
Do it. Fucking A, yeah.
So, because to me, I'm kind of like, look, I'm dead, right? So how am I going to remind the world of me? Oh, you want to use me in a movie? Sure. Fucking CG me, please.
Yeah.
I'm kind of okay with it.
I'm okay with it.
But
people will know as well in the future. They'll be like, okay, if I want to go see the classics, the original, the real Guy Pigden, I can go back and watch older. You know, but if I want to see just the modern day imitations, well, that's fine too.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting because also I do think, because I noticed it immediately, but I asked the person that I was seeing it with if she noticed.
Yeah.
And she was like...
Michelle.
Michelle?
Well, it was just anybody except for the girl you actually saw it with. You're just trying to get in trouble, you know?
Oh, no. I mean, we could say her name if we want. Shani.
Yeah.
So I watched it with her, and I said, did you notice anything weird about that Admiral guy? And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, just anything weird, like anything strike you?
Like, did you notice that he's been dead for 40 years?
Like, did you notice the death mask? And she was like, no, not really. And she was like, why? And I was like, well, that's his face is a computer. And she was like, oh, I guess he did, like, it did kind of look like he had a weird texture to him, but no, I didn't really notice.
Presumably they had an actor there with a green screen mask over his head.
So essentially...
talking and doing the lines.
Yeah, so essentially what they would have had is they would have had the guy that was impersonating him, and they may have even made him up quite similar, and then they probably would have put a bunch of dots on his face and had him walking around doing it, and then they would have just, for light purposes, so they can see where the light hits his face, etc., and then they would have done a take where... there was no one there and he was acting to nothing, and then they would have combined those two with a computer-generated face. But pretty alarming stuff.
Well, I think we can move on from that now.
We can. But I just thought it was interesting. Guy Pigden called it. Thank you.
Well, look, I'd just like to talk about myself for a minute.
There's a surprise.
Because I had an audition.
Oh, good for you. And how was it? I hope it was fucking good because it's useless now, isn't it? Fuck's sake, man, you're amateur.
And it was a callback. Now, last week I said that I had an audition playing a German character, and that I thought, and that at the time of recording I assumed I hadn't got it because I hadn't heard anything back. Well, the next day after we recorded the podcast, I got a call up from my agent saying that I was on the shortlist and I had a callback. So I showed up for my callback. Now, a callback is your second audition, and you're on the shortlist, and they pay you just to show up. You get $50 just to show up to the audition. So I had one of those, and then it went pretty well. It was good. It was not bad. And then later that afternoon, I got a text from my agent. You're on hold. Now, on hold, that's like the short list. That means it's down to like you and one other person probably.
Or two or three.
Not many either way. Like, you're on hold. You can't change your appearance. You can't say yes to anything else on that particular day. That's a hold. So if somebody else wanted to cast me on that day, theoretically, I'd have to say no to them because I'm on hold for this other role, you know? So it's a pretty good chance. So I was feeling pretty good. I was like, all right, because, you know, like, of course I fucking got it. Of course I have. Didn't get it. I got an update a couple of days later, did not get, you are released. And it's a real shame. This is the second time this year, this financial year, that I've been on hold for a commercial and then not got it. It's been down to me and one or two other people, and then someone else got it. Yeah. So, break my heart.
Bit of a shame. I thought...
I don't think I mentioned this last year, but last episode, but the last financial year, I got a whole bunch of ads, and so add that to my day job, and it was like, okay, cool, this is like going really well. My acting career is going awesome. This year, if you added up this financial year, which is finishing in a few months, it finishes in like 3 months. If you add up all my income from acting, it's like probably like $1,000 or less for the entire year.
If you add up mine for the last 3 years, it's $1,000 or less.
Right. Well,
or maybe $100 or less. Well, no, because I think I've had a couple of callbacks, so it's probably just over $100.
Yeah, because you get $50 per callback.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I didn't get it. Is the long and short of that story. But I did get a call from my agent today asking me if I want to do a different type of audition. They do these things called self-tape auditions, and usually these are for international productions where you record yourself doing the audition and send it to them. So that's a maybe that could happen over the next couple of days.
Well, what else you got? What else is going on? Anything? Got any updates?
Well, yep, you came to my hovel.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So Harley talked up like his
last episode,
his flat, and he was like, you know, I moved into this new place.
I referred to it as a dilapidated shithole. I actually said that referring to it as a dilapidated shithole was an insult to dilapidated shitholes.
Yep. So that's how, and I was like, this place is going to be pretty bad. And, you know, his girlfriend burst into tears
when
spontaneous
the day
burst.
we moved in,
spontaneous,
as soon as we dropped off our first load of our shit in this new room, we got in the car and she burst into tears.
Like,
bless her soul. She's sensitive. She's a sensitive soul.
But you don't often just
and
burst
she's not
tears.
she's not a big crier. Like, you know, like I could count the amount of times I've seen her cry in the last 5 years.
Yeah,
you know, it's not that many.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, like, if you think about the level of emotion required to burst into tears, you know, like, sometimes, like, I'm watching a movie and, like, my heart swells and I get a little tear in my eye. That's not the same as bursting into tears. You know, I haven't burst into tears in a good long while. I only remember the last time I burst into tears. So what we're saying is these two thought it was a horrible place. So I walked around there preparing for the worst, you know. I was imagining Scarface, right?
Yeah.
Scarface the movie, and like they move into this fucking shitty flat.
Just dilapidated shithole.
And it's really, you know, like grotty. And I was like, oh, it'll be there like that. That's it, right? So went there. Fucking palace. Fucking nothing wrong with it at all.
Oh, come on.
Absolutely. These two people have become spoilt socialites.
I am a socialite. That's true.
That are, like, grossly offended by slightly above average living.
That is not above
average.
Now listen to me, Guy. I'll tell you something, mister. You were drunk when you came around.
Yeah.
and it looked good, and you thought you'd give it a hoon, all right? Because that's what happens when you've had a few, okay? But let me tell you, you still haven't...
The cold light of day.
You have not seen it.
The morning after.
In the harsh light of day.
The morning after when you wake up and go, Jesus, what was I thinking?
What have I done?
Oh, my God.
Yes, you still... Like, you went... Not only did you go around there at night time, look real close, because strobe lights lie, but you also went around there drunk at night time.
Yeah.
Right? So there was no chance. Either way, you liked the way it looked, you know? And you were all
Either
over
way,
it.
I wasn't picky.
You weren't picky.
I wasn't being fussy.
At that stage?
I was not going to take any prisoners. I was just going to go right in there.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just going to go for gold.
Yeah.
But anyway, when I looked at it, I saw the room, totally fine. Not particular, a little bit small, not that small. Went through the house, seemed, again, totally fine. Lounge area, nice. Kitchen area, clean, tidy, nothing wrong with it.
It's clean and tidy. We didn't say it was dirty and filthy. We just said it was just old and shitty.
Dramatic exaggeration going on.
There's big spiders in the laundry too.
I'm worried about the spiders, for sure. I wouldn't like the spiders. And I do agree that the light hitting your house is minimal.
Yeah.
And that is an issue.
Well, particularly in New Zealand winter.
Because it leads to dampness.
With zero insulation.
It leads to giant spiders. You know, they're attracted to the warmth of your mouth.
Yeah.
Where they wish to stay and make their home.
Yeah. Yes.
So, that is a problem. But from my perspective, I was like, fuck, these guys have really become spoiled little shitheads.
You hear that, Angie?
Real spoiled little national-loving shitheads.
National-loving? I live in a hovel. I do not love national. Now, here's the thing, right?
That John Key sense of privilege,
National are against this warrant of fitness for rental houses that the Green Party want to bring in. So the Green Party, who I vote for, want to instate a law saying that if you want to rent out a house, it needs to be held to a minimum standard, meaning it's got fire alarms, it's got insulation, maybe, I don't know exactly how strict they are, maybe like double glazing on the windows, I don't really know. But there are certain kind of rules, that you must reach. That's what the Green Party want to make happen. But of course, National are against it, and National own all the fucking houses. The politicians, the rich white guys in the National Party are all property investors, aren't they? That's, like how many fucking houses, how many properties does John Key own? And so of course it's not in his interest to pass a law that says that he's got to go into all these properties he owns and rents out to people and put fucking fire alarms in there and insulate the house and, make them livable for people. That's not in his personal best interests.
No.
So why would he personally push them forward? He wouldn't. And so, I'm just saying that I'm not national.
Of course, we should mention that John Key, our Prime Minister, has resigned.
Yeah, we didn't really mention that. This is not a particularly political podcast, but we do like to go off
bash Donald Trump from time to time.
We do like to go off on uneducated rants about
totally
stuff that we don't know about every now and then.
Absolutely.
And occasionally make rap songs about what a dick John Key is when we don't actually really even understand what his policies are.
Well, no, I did make it like a manifesto to my ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
And this was a big problem. She voted for National. It was a borderline deal breaker.
What was it? What did her name start with?
S.
Yes. I can't even remember. Oh, S. Yeah,
the last one.
Right.
So anyway, the crazy thing about that scenario of my girlfriend voting for National, my ex-girlfriend, of course, was that she, her actual belief system and structure would be completely the opposite of National.
Yeah.
Which is why it was so upsetting to me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, you are the most opposite of National person I could picture. Now,
keep in mind for their international listeners that National is essentially Republican.
Yes.
It's right wing.
Yep.
And then Labour and Green are the left wing.
Yeah, Democrat.
And we are
Democrats.
Definitely left-wing Democrat type.
Yes. And so was she, except she'd voted for National.
Yeah, but she's a small business owner, so that's why.
But, like, obviously there's many more factors at play than just your small business.
But so our Prime Minister stood down abruptly.
Just randomly.
And he's only 9 months away from finishing his term.
Couldn't be fucked.
Right? And the next election's about 9 months away. And he was like, peace out, I've had enough. And the official excuse was that his wife made him. And... Yeah. Like, I'm just waiting because at some point...
For the shoe to drop.
The scandal is going to come out, right? It's like, okay, actually, he's up on a rape charge. He's been molesting children.
Yeah, he's been pulling on ponytails of the woman that he's been having affairs with.
He's been investing in weapons dealers that have been burning civilians alive in Aleppo. Laughing.
I'm just laughing at, like, you've taken it to that extreme.
Yeah. He has,
laughing at John Key's problems.
His granddad was an investor in Auschwitz.
Private equity investor in Auschwitz.
And so on. So I'm just waiting for this to come out because...
There's got to be something.
Yeah, there's got to be something.
There has to be something.
He was just like, I've got 9 months left in this fucking cushy job where I'm the leader of the entire country.
And also, like, let's be, like, sadly clear on this. No one's calling out John Key right now. Like, John Key, like, no one's bashing John Key. Like, no one's like, hey, John Key, we're not happy about all this shit. No one's doing anything. He's just cruising. Right now, he's cruising. No...
Yeah, it's not there's a big scandal or anything.
Yeah,
it's not like there's no protests in the streets.
He's not embroiled.
Stand down.
He's not embroiled in any, like, high-stakes drama right now.
Yeah.
He's just like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
So it's always good.
Well, I kind of did this joke on a deer anyway. This job on a deer anyway. So
it's always good to see the leader of our country show, his sort of dedication to the cause.
I'm a known anti-theist, so it concerns me that upon stepping down, the man that's taking over, Bill English, is a devout Catholic with 6 kids because he doesn't believe in contraception, and his wife, who is a doctor, is on the list of...
And so he had to wait to the point where he could no longer get it up anymore before he started or stopped making babies.
What?
What I'm saying is, the only reason that Bill English doesn't have more kids is because he can't get a boner.
Right, got it. Yes, otherwise they'd just keep on coming because he doesn't believe in contraception.
Exactly.
Well, he's obviously an advocate of the pull-out method. He's obviously...
Because they never said anything about that.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, it's true that... what's it called?
Hey, look... That's worked for me.
Coitus interruptus. He's obviously a big fan of coitus interruptus.
The whole pull-out thing is always a winner.
Yeah, a risky winner, but a winner.
But a winner nonetheless.
And so Bill English, right? We've got this, this guy now.
Bill English, master of the pull-out.
Bill English, Prime Minister of New Zealand, master of the pull-out. On you, Bill. He is the new leader of our country, and his wife is on the list of doctors that won't give contraception to people. So, like, don't go to her if you want to get on the pill.
Yeah.
Don't
go to her if you want to responsibly manage
your life
and the amount of babies you intend to have.
No offense, Bill and your wife, but it's because of cunts like you that there's AIDS rampant in the fucking continent of Africa. It's like these Catholics, these fucking Catholics. Mm-hmm. Now I've got to be careful because my girlfriend's Catholic. But
so how's the pull-out method working for you?
No. We've had 6 kids. I just don't look after them. No. So yeah, like these Catholics are, pushing this anti-contraception thing in Africa. Okay, and it's like, okay, well, for a start, AIDS. Secondly. Empower women, right? Then, a country grows very well. Like all the nations that treat women well and give them choices about their, contraception and all that do well. So It's like otherwise it's like they get 18, they're 19, they're 20, and they get pregnant, and that's it. And the Catholic Church is going in and saying that's okay, and that's not okay. Yo, we've got a guest.
We've got a guest, so I'm just going to let him in.
All right. Well, I'll just rant about Catholics for a little bit. So anyway, thanks to the likes of Bill English's wife that there's AIDS in Africa. That's the general conclusion that I've sort of coming to there. But there is something to be said for empowering 50% of your workforce, which is all of the women in your country, right? And they can't work, they can't contribute to society, they can't finish university if you get them knocked up at 18. So birth control is actually really, really important. So Bill English and his wife, fuck you. Guy's back.
I'm back. So classic, we're not very political here.
But
fuck the new Prime Minister.
Fuck
and
the
his
old
wife.
Prime and fuck the old Prime Minister too. And fuck Donald Trump as well.
Look, Donald Trump's a smart guy, okay? And he doesn't need to look at intelligence briefings every day because that's too much hard work.
Yeah.
Sounds too much like hard work.
Are there any...
Every president in the history has done it until now.
I would like to extend a challenge to all of our American listeners. Are any of you Trump supporters, and why?
Apart from the wild masturbator.
Apart from the wild masturbator who doesn't actually listen to the podcast. And so, are any of you Trump supporters, and why? Because if you can convince us, well, great. Look, I want to hear it. Like, let's be reasonable. Why did you vote for Trump? Like, let us know. Go to facebook.com/Guy and Harley and either post a public post or send us a message, and we'll bring it up. We can do an anonymous thing if you don't want to get too embroiled in it. Why? What was the justification for voting for Trump?
Well, I did see this kind of interesting article where it was basically like, look, if you voted for Donald Trump,
we forgive you.
No, we don't.
You can make up for it next election.
We don't forgive you because look at all the things he's did. Are all these things okay for the sake of some other arbitrary thing that you have held on to? Like, are these core fundamental human ethics things that he has, sort of bypassed or completely shat all over, are these things all right? So, honestly, I think about this Donald Trump thing probably every day. I think about it, it crosses my mind every day in the sense that I'm like, fuck, this is really happening. Celebrity apprentice guy with no political experience and no nothing who consistently says stupid things, like every day says something stupid, who gets upset that he's being mocked on Saturday Night Live, who reacts on Twitter to dumb stuff and says, well, what are the CIA really doing? They work for the government. The president is...
He's also just got such an ugly, punchable face.
Oh, totally.
If you look at Donald Trump versus Barack Obama, right? It's like Barack Obama.
You would never want to punch Barack Obama. You'd want to kiss him.
He's like a handsome, friendly man.
You'd legit kiss him straight up if you saw him.
He's a handsome, friendly man. You go, okay, cool, Barack Obama. I can see why you would charm the world into letting you be the leader of the free world. Yep. But then you see this Donald Trump, and he's just so hateable, and his eyes are so little. I don't even know what color his eyes are because his eyes are so squinty and little.
But also just his quotes.
And what's up with the comb over?
Like every single quote, like everything he says is somehow destructive and ignorant. I kind of like this podcast.
Well, it's a symptom of a bigger problem, and that's what really bothers me. Is it's just I really think that we've reached a tipping point now, and I think that Trump and Brexit might historically be seen as the tipping point where the Western world fell a little bit. You know, it was like okay, so we were kind of on our way up, and then there was that moment when we reached the peak, and then it was all downhill, and then suddenly we had all these like right-wing idiots running the world, but it was at a time when it was really crucial to have good leadership.
To have not that.
Exactly. It was like we needed really good leadership because of climate change and all of that stuff.
Yep.
We needed really, really good leadership, and instead the stupid masses prevailed. And when I say the stupid masses prevailed, I mean the manipulative, evil people that are smart enough to manipulate the stupid masses prevailed. You know, this is like
this whole Russian hackers thing coming up now.
What's this?
You haven't heard about that?
Well, you haven't heard about this? You haven't heard about this?
So essentially what they're saying now is that Russian hackers manipulated like the release of information and emails related to Hillary Clinton and stuff like that to try and
Get Trump in.
bend the election very specifically in a very obviously dramatic, illegal, and sort of defying the Constitution way for Trump to become president,
Well,
which is what happened.
It's not beyond the realms of possibility, right? That somebody in a competing nation would say, okay, America, a democracy, is having an election and it's within our best interests to give America a shitty leader.
And that was and a dumb leader, and
Yeah.
a leader that is pro us,
A leader that we can manipulate.
which is essentially what they believe the Russian hackers were thinking.
And so they do that, right? And then the people that pull the strings start manipulating the dumb masses of voters in America to end up voting for this person, which is completely against their own personal interests and ultimately probably against the interests of their country.
Yeah, so there was this big report about it, and they basically said, like, this is not a partisan issue. This has to be a bipartisan issue, which means that you cannot look at it from the fact that, like, I support Trump or I support Hillary Clinton. We have to look at it like we are Americans, and we have to look to consider if this election has been skewed by another country through the release of this information.
Well, look, I'm really interested to see if he does actually really truly take office, because you know how there's talk of
Well, you just
people
can't-
blocking
yeah.
him?
And you also can't believe that, like, you know, being the president is really hard work. And I don't know that he can well, he can't. He's already shirking his responsibilities, and
Yeah.
he's not the president yet.
Exactly.
It's insane. It's all insane.
It is insane. The world has reached a really weird tipping point, and I don't know. I feel very alone as a person who's capable of thinking. It really worries me. You start seeing all of these crazy things that are happening, and you can't help but feeling like this is what it must have felt like.
The alt-right?
This is the alt-right. This is what it must have felt like in Germany as Hitler took power. This is what it probably felt like as the Roman Empire fell.
Because there was a million people going, hey guys, don't you think this is kind of fucked up? Like, don't you guys think this is kind of weird? What's going on? And a little bit wrong, what we're doing? And the masses were like, hey, fuck you. Shut up. Or we're going to extinguish you. And we will extinguish you for speaking out. And no one's probably going to be extinguished in this situation. Unless it's the entire world. But it just seems to me so like, sometimes I just keep waking up and going, is this it? Donald Trump, the president of the United States? Is this real and happening today?
Yeah, well, look, Plato or Socrates or Euripides or one of those famous Greek philosophers...
With the Hades.
He was famously anti-democracy as it took hold in Greece, I guess. He was famously anti-democracy as for this exact reason. He was like the average person doesn't know enough to be allowed to vote and have a say in the running of a nation, because that's a job for experts. And I'm inclined to agree. I think that maybe we need to instate some sort of thing which is an IQ test or a political IQ test in order to be allowed to vote. So that doesn't mean you have to be smart. It means you have to understand the political process and what each of the candidates stands for.
Yeah.
And if you can show this in a test, okay, I understand what the Democrats want, I understand what the Republicans want, therefore, tick, 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 I tick all the boxes, I'm allowed to vote. Okay, well, that's cool.
Because that's another thing with my ex-girlfriend voting for John Key. She was like, well, what are you talking about? You know, like, I just can't get behind Labour, whatever. And I was like, okay, well, look.
So vote Green.
Just look at their policies. Like, and I think I sent a link or something. I was like, here are these policies These are Labour's politics. Here are National's politics. Just have a look and compare them, and then suddenly it all was like, oh, holy shit! I wasn't quite really aware because what's going on.
So did she take it well, or did you guys break up?
Oh, well, we're broken up now. Was that a contributing factor? Certainly didn't get on for a period of time. I believe we had a fight at dinner because I mentioned it.
Right.
Do you remember
Was
that?
I there? Was I?
Yeah. So we were all there on like a date, and then I was like,
I remember you being a rude jerk. That's how I recall it.
Well, I was like something about voting for National, and she was like, well, don't bring that up.
Yeah,
and
I was like, well, don't bring that up.
And I was like, well, you did.
Yeah, but don't bring that up. We're having a nice dinner here. We're not talking about politics or religion.
But that's what people do. At dinner. That's people do that. So look, we're going to have to wrap it up because I've got a party to go to.
Because Guy has a social fucking interaction to attend.
But I would say just a couple of things. Marion Cotillard is the name of the actress who is opposite Brad Pitt in Allied, which I couldn't remember the name of. It's not because I am sexist. It's because I do not remember names that well. And Brad Pitt has been a star for 20 extra years than she has.
Well, also
she's actually the same age as Angelina Jolie, maybe even a year older, but she's a million times better. So she's great. That was really. I did have some Uber stories, but I guess
I see a note there that says road rage altercation.
Yeah.
So look, we're going to save that for you guys for next week.
Okay.
Because it's time to go.
We gotta go.
So look, thank you very, very much to Scott Turnbull for sponsoring this episode with his Jack Daniel's Tennessee Fire. The entire bottle is now gone.
Yep.
No kidding. We drank it the whole time. So if that's why we sound drunk and talked a lot of stuff that didn't make any sense,
talk some shit
about politics which we don't understand, that's why.
Well, it's partly why.
So thanks for listening. If you want to support us, please go on to facebook.com/Guy and Harley. Go to youtube.com/Pigville and the number 2. Hit subscribe. Hit thumbs up on a bunch of our videos. That really helps us.
Rate it. iTunes.
Go on iTunes, find the Guy and Harley podcast, give it 5 stars and give it a rating. And if you would like to buy us a bottle of Fireball for next week's episode, or any booze, it doesn't have to be Fireball, you can do so on PayPal. All you need is my email address, harleyneville@hotmail.com. Or you can go to patreon.com, find Pigville, and become one of our sponsors, one of our patrons, and that means that you'll give us $1 per video we put out, and the last time I charged was literally months ago, so it really won't cost you anything. In fact, our latest patron has not been charged, so just go along, put your name down, and then once in a blue moon, you'll get charged $1 to support us. And...
Well, also, yeah. Oh, you got an also? I got an also.
Oh, you go.
Well, also, if you're an Auckland listener, then hopefully I will have got this podcast up before Saturday. Saturday is a Nightmare Before Christmas, which is a huge IPW New Zealand wrestling event, which I will be filming. I am a rookie pro wrestler. I will not be wrestling, but I will be filming it. It is essentially their biggest event of the year. Fans can bring weapons, which will be used on the wrestlers. It's pretty cool.
So bring your best shank.
Maybe a shank will not be at, we don't want to kill people, but chairs, dildos have been used in the past.
Internally or externally?
Externally.
Oh.
A casual dildo slap.
Right.
Well, it's becoming a whole other thing if they're used internally.
Well, it'd be a lot more popular, that's all I'm saying,
But that event is happening this Saturday, 7:30 p.m. at the Mount Albert.
What's the date on Saturday?
The 17th, I believe.
All right, 17th. So if you're listening before the 17th, get on down to the IPW.
Come see me. You can say me hello. I'll be filming down there, but it's going to be...
And where is it?
Epic. The Mount Albert War Memorial Hall.
Okay, in honour of the veterans.
In honour of the veterans, people will pretend to punch each other and fall over.
And get sodomized by...
and get slapped by dildos.
Get sodomized by crowdsourced dildos.
Well, to be honest, someone bought a dildo last year. I don't think there'll be any dildos this year because...
Well, that's what you think.
I don't know.
I'm coming.
You can't have more than one dildo in one of these wrestling events.
There's a strict one dildo policy.
Well, there's a thing.
At the IPW it's been used. Wrestling event.
It's been done. You can't, you're going to redo it. Another dildo? Sorry. We've already slapped people with that. But yes, so get along down to that.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll see you next week.
See you later.
You've been listening to the Guy and Harley Podcast, proudly brought to you by Pigville Productions.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.